Welcome to the Fundamentals of Piano Theory, Level 4, Units 5, 6, and 7. In Unit 5, we're talking about intervals. Nothing new that we haven't gone over already. Just a review. We're doing all the intervals that occur in a major scale. So here we have our F major scale. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. So if we keep F on the bottom, we get a major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, perfect octave. And it sounds like this. So they're wanting us to write this out for 2 additional keys. We're going to identify these keys with their key signature that they've given us. And then we're going to write out all the major and perfect intervals for that scale. In part 2, we are naming harmonic intervals. Remember, harmonic intervals come at the same time. They're stacked on top of each other. And melodic intervals come one note at a time, just like notes of a melody. So we're going to identify the key and identify the type of intervals in parts 2 and 3. In part 4, they're wanting us to name the intervals. They have not given us a key signature in part 4. So we have to think, what is the key of the lowest note that they have given us? So for this first one here, they've given us E as our bottom note. And our top note is C sharp. So in the key of E major, C sharp is my 6th note. So that is a major 6th. So you always have to think, what is the key signature of my bottom note, to see if you need to raise or lower that note with an accidental. Okay, going on to part 5. They've given us the interval that they want, and they've given us the bottom note. Again, we still have to think of what is the key signature for that bottom note. What are the notes in that scale? So we know whether or not we need a sharp or a flat. So go ahead and draw in those intervals. In part 6, we are identifying the intervals of the circled notes. This is from a piece by Muzio Clementi. On page 20, we are now learning about minor intervals. Minor intervals occur in other scales, not in our major scale. So it's going to be a half step lower than the major counterpart. So we have a major second, and if we lower that a half step, we get the minor second. Now they're trying to trick you. Don't forget about your key signature over here. So we have a major third. We're going to lower that to get a minor third. So that's going to require a natural sign right here. So watch out for those. So we're writing the major key, and then we're lowering the top note by a half step to get our minor interval. So we're doing that for the key of 2 sharps and the key of 2 flats. Part 8, we are naming what kind of interval we have. Remember, we have to think of the key of the bottom note. And the bottom note here is G. So in my G major scale, I do not have E flats. So it cannot be a major 6th because my 6th is an E. But if I lower that, it becomes a minor 6th. Okay, so we're writing a M for major or M for minor. If the key does not belong to the bottom note's major scale, it will be a minor. If it does belong to the bottom note's key scale, it will be a major. Okay, in part 9, they've given us a specific interval they want us to come up with. So the first one, they want a major third above an E flat. So here's my major E flat scale. The first and the third note make up my major third. In the second example, it's a minor 6 they want. From my minor scale, there's my minor 6th. All right, page 21 is talking about diminished and augmented intervals. Perfect intervals of the scale become diminished when the upper note is lowered 1/2 step. Perfect intervals of the scale become augmented when the upper note is raised 1/2 step. So they're going to have us first draw a perfect fourth, and then we're going to diminish it and then they're going to have us augment it. So we're writing out perfect, diminished, and augmented fourth. Diminished by lowering 1/2 step, augmented by raising 1/2 step. Now, it is very important that you still have some kind of a fourth. We cannot call that D flat. We have to call that C sharp. Otherwise, it's a fifth, not a fourth. We can't call this B. We have to call it C flat. If we call it B, we have a third, not a fourth. So do not change the interval on the staff up or down. Change the note up or down with an accidental. In part 11, they have given us an interval and we have to identify what kind of an interval is it. Remember, the bottom key, we have to think of that key's key signature or major scale. So in this case, we've been given an F. F to C is a perfect fifth. We're raising that to get an augmented. And that's it for Unit 5 for intervals. Unit 6 is all about triads. I don't know that there's anything new in this unit, mainly a review. Identify the triads, remember your formulas. If you don't remember your formulas, go back and watch my video from level 3. I went over those in depth. And part 2, we're drawing the given requested triad. Triads and inversions, again, nothing new. Make sure that you include any accidentals in the next measure and the next measure. Several of you have missed that in the past. Remember, the first inversion, we're just taking the bottom note, putting it on the top. Second inversion, we are taking the bottom note and putting it on the top from first inversion. So that's what's going on page 23. Page 24, again, reviewing first and second inversion. If Olaf loses his head, we're in first. If our snowman Olaf loses his butt, we're in second. So identify the given triads, draw the requested triads. Page 25, we're talking about close and open position. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. Again, it doesn't matter how open our triad is, it comes down to what is the lowest note. That determines whether we are in root position, first inversion, or second inversion. So we are identifying triads in part 6 that are in open position. Page 26 is a review on diminished triads. Again, that's 1/2 step smaller than a minor triad. So we are lowering our top note 1/2 step. We are inverting our diminished triads in part 8. And in part 9, we are identifying which inversion our diminished triads are in. Page 27 is doing the same thing, but for augmented. Remember, augmented is raising from major, our top note 1/2 step, to get an augmented triad. So we'll do that for part 10. Part 11, we're inverting, putting the bottom note on top. And in part 12, we are identifying whether or not we are in root position, first inversion, or second inversion using augmented triads. That'll do it for Unit 6. For Unit 7, we are learning different names for triads of the scale. Each scale degree has a name when you build a triad on it. And these are them: tonic, supertonic, mediant, submediant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, and then we're back to our tonic. These you need to memorize. These are coming up on a exam. Hint, hint, cough, cough, wink, wink. So you definitely want to memorize these. So here we're doing it in the key of F major. That's scale degree 1, that's going to be tonic. That's scale degree 5, that's going to be our dominant. So we're going to write out all the names for our scale degrees. We're also going to do this for the key of A major, and they've scrambled them up, so they're not in order. On page 29, doing the same thing, but this time with a triad rather than just a single scale degree. Don't forget on your scale degree 7 that we do include a degree symbol to distinguish that the triad built on scale degree 7 is a diminished triad. Lowercase Roman numerals for minor, capital Roman numerals for major, lowercase for diminished with the degree symbol. So part 3, drawing the Roman numerals. Part 4, drawing the Roman numeral numbers. Part 5, drawing the triad and the Roman numeral for the given scale degree. Page 30, we're going over triads in harmonic minor scales. When we do this, we have a minor 1, a diminished 2, see the degree symbol, an augmented 3, see the plus sign, we add a plus sign if we're augmented, and we have a capital Roman numeral number. 4 is minor, 5 is major, because we've raised scale degree 7, notice the accidental. 6 is major, 7 is diminished, the degree symbol, and we've raised our 7th back to 1 being minor. So when we go to harmonic minor, we raise scale degree 7, which is the 5th of scale degree 3, the 3rd of scale degree 5, and the root of scale degree 7. So because we've raised that leading tone, it affects whether we're major or augmented, minor or major, minor or diminished for 3 chords, because that note is found as either the 5th, the third, or the root of those three chords. So here we're writing out our same Roman numeral numbers right here. We're doing it again here, but now out of order. In part 8, we are drawing a triad based on the scale degree name. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, and leading tone. So they are scrambled in part 8. All right, page 31, we're getting a review of everything that we've gone over. Write the scale degree name that is a fifth above the tonic, a fifth below the tonic, a third above the tonic, a third below the tonic, a second above the tonic, and a second below the tonic. Remember, tonic means 1. Write the major scale degree for each Roman numeral. In the major scale, how many triads are major, how many are minor, how many are diminished, and what are their Roman numerals? And same for minor. So that will conclude Unit 7. So go ahead and get those uploaded so that I can get them graded. Thank you so much.